This is the last video for our newsletter project. In this video I'd like to give you an idea on how I'm going to grade your newsletter project. Starting at the top, I will be looking at how your banner area creates a focal point. Remember, a focal point is the most visually dominant part of your design. So you're trying to make it eye-catching. You want your title area to stand out. Now I'm using one of my old newsletters here, or examples, to evaluate it. Not that I've created a perfect one, but I want to use it to discuss certain elements, certain things that I'm looking for. Now your title, I'm looking for contrast. Contrast, you can think of it as a visual rebel, and you can think of contrast in terms of things standing out. For instance, this text is dark and has a light background behind it, so the text or title will pop out or stand out fairly well. If you're using a title that's dark and your background is dark, then you're lacking contrast and you're really hurting the focal point effect. You really want things to stand out in your banner area. So looks like this will work for contrast and focal point. I have a graphic. I'll be expecting a graphic in your banner area. I do want your title to be readable. Don't get too carried away with different typefaces that are difficult to read. There's a subtitle. I would like a date, and Chisago Lakes Middle School at the top. You do not have to have a box, but a box is a simple way to create a focal point. The shape of the box, which is the largest shape on this page, will draw the eye. All right. I'll be also looking for spelling. There's things that will be underlined in green or red, but names I expect to see red lines, and since this is a byline, Word doesn't know what that is, but everything's fine there. Now you don't have to have a drop cap or fancy letter. It's just a way to create repetition. Notice that the drop cap here repeats in style in the next story. There's other ways to create repetition. I put a little graphic here. The paw print repeats throughout the design, and I am looking for ways that you use the idea of repetition. It doesn't have to be graphics, it doesn't have to be a drop cap, excuse me, but those are some ideas that you can use. All right. I'm making sure as I go through your projects that you have photos or clip arts or images that you've inserted. You don't have to have a great deal, but at least 2 or 3 examples would be good. And I'm looking for two or three examples of text boxes. So here's one here, and here's another text box. And you could demonstrate the principle of proximity with text boxes. So if you insert an image or a text box within the article, then that text box or image should relate to the story that you're writing. When they don't relate, and it doesn't always have to relate, but when they do relate, you've achieved that principle of proximity. It's just one way you can do it. I would certainly expect, though, that if you're typing something in a text box, that everything in the text box belongs together. For example, in this one, November events, each event is in November, so there's a similar theme going on, and those things should belong together. All right, so we've talked a little bit about contrast, repetition, and proximity. I'll also be looking for alignment. Notice that the edge of the text here matches the edge of the photo. And that's a good rule of thumb, is to make your images and boxes follow a line or an edge that's found somewhere else in the document. So over here, this text box follows the right alignment, and this text box follows the edge of the text box above it. So try to share an edge whenever you can. As I keep scrolling down, Um, I notice that this newsletter is incomplete. Remember that both pages have to be filled with stories, features, graphics, and those kinds of things. Your newsletter may go past 2 pages, but you don't get any extra credit for going past, but you have to at least have 2 pages filled out. Some other things to consider when you're putting images in, make sure they're resized so that they aren't stretched and made to look distorted. I'm kind of wondering about this one. The penguins look a little bit too skinny, so I probably forgot to resize with the shift key down. So be careful of that. I'll notice things like that. When you can resize images, that demonstrates your skill at using Microsoft Word to create a newsletter. I'm also looking for originality in your stories, and they have to reflect what's happening for real at Chisago Lakes Middle School. It can't be anything imaginary. It has to be about real people, real events, real thoughts or comments from students. And then finally, you need to make sure that if you've used an image off the internet, that you've given attribution, which means given credit to who made that or which website you got it from. And you won't put that on your newsletter, but you'll put it in your T-chart, which you made sketches and you wrote notes on earlier in the class. So those are the things I'm looking for when I'm grading this newsletter.